So, Vytjie, what happened on that infamous day when you were summoned to Saxonwold to the GUPTAS residence? Because I've heard that story and it's shocking, but I'd love it if you can tell it to our audience what happened on that day.
You know, I've said this to Public Protector Thuli Madonsela, and I've said the same to the chairperson of the commission. I had been wanting to solve a particular problem that fell under public enterprises. That problem was, as soon as Zuma became president of the ANC, and before he even became president of the state, during the time when Kgalema Motlanthe was a caretaker president, just immediately after the ANC conference that elected Zuma, the PBMR, which is the Pebble Bed Modular Reactor in Pelendal, was being put aside, and that we had a technological edge at that stage with that project, despite the fact that we had spent 8 billion rand at that time on the project, and we had sent our scientists to acquire knowledge from all over the world. We had best scientists. The other third thing is a similar project had been shut up or shut down in France and I think in Germany from a popular demand. But we continue with us. We learned lessons from the French people and from the Germans. Then we carried ourselves, our project in, within the range of safety. We were producing already isotopes, and nobody was producing those isotopes in the world. Isotopes that are very good for nuclear medicine and nuclear technology. That's how advanced the project was. But then just after the December conference, when Parliament opens, there is an item on the portfolio of energy that proposes that the Pebble Bed Modular Reactor should be shut down. At first, I thought they are dealing with the project that way because it was initiated under Mbeki's administration. I began to argue at caucus level and everywhere that you can't just get rid of a project, an important project, simply because it was formative under the person you now perceive to be an enemy. But it was not. I learned later. I spoke to both the board, NEXA, chairperson, and the board and management of PBMR. They were uneasy. They didn't know what the future held for them and all those things. To that extent, during that time, Dipuo Peters was the Minister of Energy. But then when Kgalema was a caretaker president, I went to complain to him. I said, explain to me, why are we shutting this project? We have technological edge. And then I said to him, what's going to happen about the more than 200 rights, intellectual property rights that are associated with the project? Where are they going to? Because we were partnering with an American company, nuclear company, in that project. I said, have you made mechanisms that neither the Americans nor anybody would run away with this intellectual property, so that should we decide in the future as a country to go back to the project, we will have our intellectual property protected and not owned by anyone or not sold to anyone? Kgalema, I went to see him in the presidential residence here in Cape Town. That day he was in the evening actually, he was hosting the first footballer, black South African footballer who went abroad, who is called Kalamazoo. And actually, as he escorted him, he introduced me to him, and my father and my uncle really loved Kalamazoo. That night I phoned them to say I shook his hand. Kgalema simply said to me, go and speak to the Minister of Energy and go and speak to Jacob Zuma in Luthuli House. So I went back and I spoke to the Minister of Energy. She didn't have answers. She was the poor Peters. She also said, go and speak to the president of the ANC. So from the time when Zuma was still president of the ANC, before he became head of state, I was seeking to meet him regarding this project. And then that fateful day, on a Sunday evening, I got a call that after many letters and many efforts, now he was a head of state. He had been for a period a head of state. He wanted to see me according to the phone call. He wanted to heed the call to meet me. So I left here thinking I was going to Pretoria, to the Union Building. But it would not be the Union Building eventually. I would end up at Sahara and at the GUPTAS compound. Mm. And I was kept there the whole time. And Zuma came to meet me there, instead of me meeting him in an official building of government, which is the Union Building. I would have understood if I was meeting him in the presidential residence, like Mahlamba Ndlovu, just like I met Kgalema in the presidential residence here. But it was a shocking moment. Mm. It was in a private property of other people. So that's the long and short of it.
Mm. And in that moment, the Guptas offered you the job of Minister of Public Enterprises, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they said that there was an imminent cabinet reshuffle and that I could replace Barbara Hogan as Minister of Public Enterprises if I promised to get rid of the SAA OR Tambo India route. So I did not agree to that, and I did not become a minister, and I don't have a problem with it because I followed my conscience.
And after the fact, President Zuma approached you and sort of tried to make you reconsider that offer. I mean, when the Guptas made you that offer, President Zuma entered the room and tried to make you, while you're walking to the car, if I'm not mistaken, to reconsider.
No, you got it wrong. I was not yet walking to the car. I was just loud. I was losing my cool because I was asking this guy, but who do you think you are? And then I said, I first said to him, how are you able to make me a minister? Because only the president can do that. And then his exact words were, we often do it. We often put a word in for people to be appointed, and suggesting that whenever they said so, Zuma would heed their decision as to who should be given which particular portfolio of interest. So we spoke about other things those have been ignored, actually. They also wanted Dinel in that meeting. As I told Judge Zondo, they had knowledge to a top secret matter they should not have had knowledge of. That because I sat on the portfolio of the Standing Committee of Intelligence, that's how I knew about the top secret. They said that there was a problem between South Africa and India, which I would not divulge. But then they knew about it. And that's when really I lost my cool. I realized the depth of their interference and power in the administration of Zuma. So as I raised my voice, getting angry, Zuma stepped in from another direction of the house, not from the one where I had entered.
And a week later, you found that Barbara Hogan, who I believe was the Minister of Public Enterprises at that time, was either she left the position or she was fired and she was replaced by Gigaba. And you said that just sent a cold shiver down your spine. These people are serious.
Yes, I'm not very sure that it was exactly after a week, but it did happen. And actually, I was driving from the airport and my radio was on in the car when I heard that Barbara Hogan and 3 other ministers have been chopped from the cabinet. And as you're saying, there was some cold sweat that ran down my spine to realizing how deeply in nonsense we were as a country.